How's it going out there, YouTube? My name is Jesse, and I am the curator for the Golden Age, and this is another
Lost Heroes of the Golden Age.
Yes, this is Lost Heroes of the Golden Age, and this time we are doing...
I have an issue with this.
Oh, what is your problem with this one? Is it because it's not some buxom blonde or raven-haired beauty wearing a scantily clad outfit that might be questionable in a comic book made for children?
Well, that and the other thing.
Oh yeah, this is the spiders thing. I'm not a huge spider fan. And it's really weird because we're going to be doing Spider Widow from Quality Comics, and in the 18 appearances that she has, she only uses spiders in the first 4 issues, despite being called Spider Widow through every one of her appearances. I don't understand why they abandoned the process so quickly, because I mean, it is not too unusual for superheroes to stray away from the thing that attracted people in the first place. Like with Nightmare and Speedy abandoning the Halloween costume, or the Boy King and his giant, and avoiding using the giant. But a kind of thing like that happened in Hillman Comics. It didn't happen like that in Quality Comics, which is what we're covering today, Spider-Woman from Quality Comics. Now, this is feature comic books that we're covering, and I have to admit, I didn't know that Quality did feature, and I haven't really read anything from it. I've actually found a number of characters lately by finding the new publications that Quality has, where I got a lot more characters to review now. But this is one that I've never really gone over before. And Spider Widow isn't, she isn't alone. After the first 4 appearances and the last time we see her use the spider, she teams up with a superhero called Raven. And the funny thing is, she doesn't know who Raven is at first. In fact, we won't find out for another 7 issues what his name is, which was another unusual thing. Even though they didn't know who they were to each other, which that's a common thing, having 2 superheroes working together that don't know who they are. It's unusual that we don't know who he is, and we never really find out what his job is. The Spider Widow, she's a socialite. You know, one of the many women in the Golden Age who's, you know, got a whole bunch of money and so much free time on her hands. And most of her adventures are situational anyways. She didn't go looking for trouble. Trouble found her, which, I mean, a lot of times people look and say, oh, look at the papers, or, oh, I know this person. It's a lot of times it's just like, huh, I'm in this situation. Spider Widow will take care of it. So you happen to be carrying your Halloween mask around. But yeah, this is one of the few women in comic books that actually could take the prize for being an unattractive superheroine because of the Halloween mask. Most female heroines are, you know, very easy on the eye, something that the Voice loves to look at, and wearing next to nothing where, you know, boys are reading the comic books. But this one was an interesting take on that. The interesting outfit, the premise, which was really creepy to start with, and the fact that she didn't keep the premise going up for very long, yet kept the name going. So let's go ahead and cover Spider Widow, which I try to keep saying Spider Widow. I might have messed it up in this intro or in the story. I kept trying to say Spider Widow. It threw me off so many times saying Spider Widow because it doesn't flow off the tongue like a lot of other superheroes. So if I mess it up, I apologize. It is Spider Widow on this Lost Heroes of the Golden Age. Spider Widow. Spider Widow, Diane Grayton, first appeared in Feature Comics number 57 in 1942. The original publisher is Quality, and she is created by Frank Broth. Now, Spider Widow is a unusual creation. And to talk about Spider-Widow, we also have to talk about the Raven, who would appear in issue 60. The interesting thing about issue 60 is this is also the last time Spider-Widow would stop using spiders. She started off using spiders that she could control, but after the first 4 issues, she never used spiders again. She would constantly dress up in her costume where she wore a green Halloween mask that had white long hair, the hat, and a cloak to look like a scary old lady. But that's the outfit that she would dress up in with each appearance. But only the first 4 issues did she use spiders. After that, she didn't use spiders anymore. Now, Spider-Widow never got a cover appearance, except for in the feature comics, there was characters along the side and then the faces along the top. Now, when she first appeared, she didn't appear in those faces along the top. She wouldn't actually appear up there until issue 62, and then she would remain for her last issue in 72, but her partner, the Raven, he never appeared on any of the covers. Now, we know who Spider-Widow was from the beginning, but even though the Raven would appear in issue 60, he wouldn't be named as Tony Gray until issue 67, which it's kind of unusual that he was around for 7 issues with no name attached to him. I don't know if they did that on purpose to because they didn't have a name, or if they just wanted to keep it going for a while. Now, it is not unusual for, like I was talking about spiders, it's not unusual for characters to come up with a gimmick or a presence in a single issue, and then in the next issue they don't use it anymore. Like in one issue they may have a ray gun, or they may have a radio device. But the fact is, she started with spiders and had them for 4 issues, and she had 18 appearances. The 16 appearances in feature comics and 2 issues in police comics. Now, it was weird that she dropped the presence of the spiders after 4 issues, yet she still remained the Spider-Widow. I don't understand why they dropped the premise so quickly like that. It almost feels like it was a Hillman comic instead of a Quality, because Quality kind of kept a gimmick going. So it was really weird that they would stop it after that. Now, when the Raven first appeared, for the first, 4, 5, 6 issues, the comic would read Spider-Widow, and the Raven. I don't know why he was put in the top billing along with her, and why after issue 65, he still wasn't named until issue 67, but why after 65, he wasn't part of the billing anymore. Now, I did mention that she appeared in a few issues of police comics, and what happened is the Phantom lady, who was premiering in police comics at the same time that Spider-Widow was playing in feature comics, would actually cross over on each other. And this was the only time that Quality characters crossed over to each other's comic books to be on the features too. And in one of the issues, it actually, with Phantom Lady, it said Spider-Widow with the Raven and Phantom Lady. And it's no other Quality characters had done that. And I would have loved to have seen more than that. Because, like, when you read police comic books, a lot of the cover issues would have the Spirit and Plastic Man together. But they had their own separate stories. So the fact that Phantom Lady, who never appeared on the cover of police comics as far as I know, was crossing over to not only another hero storyline, but crossing over comic books, was something that I wasn't even familiar with in the Golden Age. I think MLJ may have experienced stuff like that, and we know it was happening in DC, but for something like Quality to do that, that was completely unusual. Now, Phantom Lady only appeared in 3 issues of feature comic books, 69, 70, and 71. And the stories that were going on in the police comic books were also crossing over with the stories going on in feature comics, so they weren't separate stories. The Raven would appear by himself in 20, and then him and Spider-Widow would appear in 21, and they did appear in 22, but it was only a cameo, because they were on the first page where they went back to their own comic book, and yes, they even referenced, we're going back to feature comics. And then the rest of the story would be the Phantom Ladies comics. I love when they were crossing over to each other's features, they kept breaking the fourth wall. Raven twice mentioned that he was leaving feature comics, and one time in the Spider-Widow, she asked, have you seen the Raven? And she said, I haven't seen him since we dealt with that matter over in police comics. I'm sitting here going, okay, I love the fourth wall break. Now, Spider-Widow did deal with foreign agents. I don't think she dealt with the Germans directly. A number of times she did deal with Oriental agents because they were painted yellow, and we know what yellow meant. And they never outright mentioned Nazis or had swastikas, but they kept saying Adolf. We're going to take her to Adolf. And then one time when she was fighting the Spider-Man, who was giant, riding on the back of a giant spider, probably her only really supervillain, they even said, oh, so this is Adolf's machine, because it was actually a giant mechanical spider. But they kept saying Adolf. They didn't say the Nazis, they didn't say the Germans, and they didn't say, and I mean, that's what it was. There was, let's see, there was the Oriental agents, the fifth columnist, a few gangsters. They even had a Christmas special. Most of the situations that Spider-Widow found herself in were situational. She didn't go out looking for any of this. Most of it happened to her, but she always carried her mask and the cloak with her. And I mean, she was a rich socialite, but like I said, most of these situations happened to her. A couple of times they targeted Spider-Widow directly, and then things just happened around her where she could interfere. Now, the Raven kept popping up. I don't know if the Raven at first said he didn't know who Spider-Widow was, but he kept being in him. He kept having himself in positions where he could help her out, despite not knowing who she was. And she did not know who he was until issue 67, where they talked afterwards. Now, when the Phantom Lady showed up, it looked like both of them were competing for his attention. And in one issue, the Raven says the most sexist thing I had ever seen in a comic book. And I'm going to quote this here. This is a direct quote, and I don't want someone thinking that I was skipping over this or that I condone this in any way. Come on, let's go home. There's no sense sticking around here any longer. That man we came for escaped. A fine pair of crime fighters. Look, you read the story. Breaking the fourth wall again. What do you think? Yeah, that's what I thought. But never mind. And here we go. The next time we set out, I'll have these two gals trained. I know how to handle women. Wow. It is the 1940s, and yes, the two women are fighting for the man's affection. And I've read a lot of comic books, and I've seen some people get close to saying something like that, but that was pretty sexist. I'm guessing in the 1940s something like that would be acceptable, but wow. So, I mean, that's Spider Widow. It's a lot of things. It was just a weird collection of things. She started off, the Raven joins. She stops using spiders, being on there, crossing features, Phantom Lady. It's just a whole bunch of stuff grouped together to put this together. Now, since this is a cover of Spider Widow, we are going to cover her first appearance. And we'll cover the Raven 2, which will be the last time she'll stop using the spiders. And we'll kind of condense a bit of his story. It started off with the agents wanting to capture the Spider Widow, and that's when the Raven will show up. So, it's an interesting read for what it was. It didn't last a long time, and once it was gone, it was gone. There wasn't a revival. I don't know if DC owns the rights for Spider Widow, like they did for Phantom Lady, because they revived Phantom Lady. I haven't found any revivals for Spider Widow. I mean, I like the fact that she was using Black Widow spiders to fight bad guys. I was really disappointed when she stopped using them. On a lot of the issues, she had like a little text intro with a spider on the page. Now, a lot of the other things that didn't carry on with every issue, this didn't carry on every issue, and it had a couple times with the Raven 2. She weaves a web of justice to trap the insects of corruption. And that would, it was Spider Widow, Grandmother of Terror. And that was a good intro for a while, but they didn't keep that up with any consistency either. Which, I mean, why would you still be calling yourself the Spider Widow when you're not even using Black Widow spiders anymore? That was your name. You're not using them. Why are you continuing the name? I mean, she was known for the name. People referred to her by her name. The Spider Widow. But she wasn't using spiders. I checked every issue. After 60, no more spiders are being used. I know. I can rant. I'm pretty sure if you've watched my videos up until now and you've seen me rant about things that I say are inconsistent, or, you know, basing it with an eye of viewing it today to back then. But seriously, you're calling yourself Spider Widow. That is the premise of your stick. That's why you're named who you're named after. The things with the spiders should have stuck. Maybe it's because when she stuffs the spiders down the submarine, she doesn't have the spiders anymore. That's why she can't use them. But, I mean, I'm impressed with her ability to control them. Alright, let's go over the first appearance of Spider Widow, and then we'll briefly cover the Raven as well. One other thing I'll mention, even though her hairstyle stays the same, her hair color doesn't. And if it was like a blonde to red hair, or vice versa, I mean, I could almost, be like, okay, color palette things, but there were a couple times that she had black hair, so, yeah. Consistency would be nice. Same hairdo, different colors. But let's get on with this. The Spider Widow, Grandmother of Terror. She weaves a web of justice to trap the insects of corruption. Frank M. Roth. Miss Diana Grayton, beautiful, wealthy, and athletic, combats the forces of crime in this new story of adventure in the underworld as the Spider Widow. The notorious triggermen of Jake Lardo are assembled at the waterfront hideout to make plans for the night's activities. You boys know Hentzer's off. I'm not sure how to pronounce that. He wants us to destroy the trainload of oil coming in tomorrow night for shipment to El Gran. Okay, Jake, we know just the place to dump that job. And then we cut over to the next day at the Grayson estate. And I guess Robert pulls up. And they're chatting for a minute, saying that her riding a horse in the morning is ambitious. And she says, "Are you just getting in?" And he was up late with a sick friend. And she's like, "Uh-huh, I know." Like, she doesn't believe him. And then she asks him about the headlines, and he acts like an ass about the headlines. "No, but I can tell you what they are: murder, sabotage, crime, and, oh yes, injustice." "Oh, stop, Robert, I'm serious." "What do you expect me to do about it? Go out and shoot Hitler?" "Yeah, he's being an ass." "Well, it's about time someone did something about it." "Okay, Diane, you do something about it. I'm going home and to bed." "Oh, what a head." "Yeah, up late night with a sick friend." And she wonders if she could at least do anything. And then we cut over to the bridge, chugging along. Late that morning, powerful engine charges through the mountains and onto a trestle, which is the trestle bridge. And then there is a gigantic explosion. That is a rather large fireball. Were they using a bomb? Like a bomb from an airplane? I mean, I understand that TNT can do some sorts of explosion, but look at that thing. That's a massive fireball. I don't even think TNT is going to explode that large, and that's what was commonly used back then for saboteurs, was like sticks of dynamite. That's a large explosion. Okay, racing from the scene of the disaster, the powerful sedan charges down the road, cutting through the Grayson estates. "Boss, we're out of gas. You stupid idiot. Why didn't you fill it?" That's a really good point. Why wouldn't you fill up your engine? He didn't know all the gas stations were going to be closed, so he thought that they'd have another time. So they're going to go down to the Grayson estates and get some fuel. He wants to get fuel from them. Diane is just about to join the rest of the household who have been aroused by the fire wind. "Who's the boss around here? We want some gas and make it quick." "I beg your pardon. Shut up. I said I wanted 10 gallons of gas. Make it snappy and don't give us trouble." I mean, just because it's a mansion doesn't mean that they have fuel. While the chauffeur is ordered to produce fuel, Diane slips into the attic storeroom. So this is when she will put on her rubber mask, and she says, "All I need is this rubber mask and those pets the gardener showed me." Pets? She said pets. Okay, she races to the thug's car and manages to get in the trunk. Good, they didn't see me. So they get the fuel, apparently. And she is stored away in the trunk, and she makes it to their hideout. But as the crooks leave the car, a startling figure appears. And then we come over here, and they start talking about it. "I tell you, boss, there wasn't nothing left of the train. We blew the entire works. It was nothing but a mess of debris. D-A-B-R-E-E-Z, debris." Okay. We ought to collect something from Henson off. The trestle ought to be worth something to Hitler. I'll attend to Hertz. I just want you to make sure every oil tank was destroyed. So, as they're talking about it, suddenly a tiny black bundle of viciousness drops into the center of the table. I know these are supposed to be widows, but widows have red hourglasses. These seem to be 6 red dots. That was a spider. A black widow spider. Get it off of me. Get it off of me. It bit me. The black widders, WIDDERS. Oh my God, the way these guys talk is poisonous. Get a doc or something. SUMPTHIN. Don't just stand there looking at me. Ain't y'all gonna help me? Nix, you think we want to get bit? I don't mind shooting it out with the cops, but I can't stand spiders. They do things to me. Look, there's another one. So they start getting ambushed by spiders. And as they're, they start to get away, gangway, I'm getting out of here. And they all fall from the top of the hideout. In their haste to leave the room, the gunmen failed to see a violin case placed mysteriously at the door. So they all trip over the violin case. And one falls in oil. He fell headfirst into the oil. Oh, that's... Don't open your mouth. Who's that glove? Oh, God, he got oil in his mouth. Howling Hitler. Wow, okay. She introduces herself as the Spider Woman. She knows enough to send us all up. Grab the old crow. Don't let her get away. One of the gunmen lounges at her and with her athletic prowess to duck. She gets out of the way and he crashes into the board behind him. And we know that one guy is chugging oil. Not so fast, Grandma. I got a score to settle with you. This is what happens to people who meddle in Jake Lazo's business, see? And as he grabs the cape, he is swarmed by Black Widow spiders. It says a swarm of spiders come forth from the old woman's cloak and sink their fangs into the gunman's hand. And at this point, we have to think that she has some sort of control over the spiders, which they say in her bio, but they never outright confirm. But, I mean, they are doing what she's telling them to and not biting her, which you would think that they would. They leap upon his face, and since he's terrified, he jumps in the river. Help! I can't swim, and they're biting me. If you can't swim, why did you jump in the water? That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, I'm going to wash the spiders off of me, but I can't swim, so you either get poisoned or you get drowned. I mean, of your choices, you made a good choice. You're either dead or you're dead. Okay, the other two are busy to help anybody. I guess the one who was treading oil finally gets out, and she ducks and they shoot each other. All right. We'll go ahead and read this last sections of panels. Investigate the riot at 44 Waterfront Street. Gunfire. Proceed with caution. Holy smokes, the entire Lardo gang. We've been looking for you boys for months. I wonder who... Look, a note. It said, compliments of Spider Widow. The following morning. Hello, Diane. This is Bob Abson. Say, if you're still interested in hunting criminals, why don't you take a few lessons from this Spider Widow? Ha ha ha. You and she ought to get along well. God, he is an ass. I suppose we would, Bob. Know where I could meet her? Spider Widow captures Lardo gang. Next month, the Spider Widow returns. The Spider Widow and the Raven. She weaves a web of justice to trap the insect of corruption. The Spider Widow has become an irritable thorn in the sides of Axis undercover agents and their criminal henchmen. As yet, they do not know who she is really. Diane Grayston, the wealthy and beautiful sportswoman of society. Thought she was a socialite. Anyways, we come to these Orientals because, well, at least one of them, because he's yellow, and that's what they did in the Golden Age. I just received orders from headquarters in Berlin demanding the capture of Spider Widow since she has chosen to interfere with our United Spy activities. So I'm guessing that they are German and he's Oriental, and they're working together, and they put something in the paper to lure Spider Woman and Spider Widow. Did I say woman? And they want to. It's like, we'll lure her here and then capture her before she can use her spiders. Thus, the next day, Diane comes upon an article of interest in the daily paper. Widow, come with your spiders. Urgent. 12 Waterfront Street, midnight. Please don't fail me. So she gets dressed up and she shows up. And the Raven, who we don't know who he is at this point. So, they want to see Spider Widow, do they? Well then, so do I. Oh, yeah. So, at midnight, she approaches the address. And she's immediately blinded from behind. She gets blackjacked because it looks like a blackjack in his hand. And they tie her up and they carry her to the sub. Hurry, get her tied up before the spiders loose. She always carries around her. Good. Now, as soon as we get her below, we can cast off and the job is done. And the Raven, he's overseeing the whole thing. It looks as though our little widow is going for a ride, but not without me. So he makes it onto the boat, and one of the guys thinks that he overhears something, but the other two don't. Funny, I could have sworn I heard somebody. Somebody? Why did you put an A in front of somebody? Okay, so she comes to, okay, Professor, I give up. What's the gag? It's no gag, Grandma. If they only knew how young she really was. You've been poking your nose in our affairs, and the Führer don't like it. The Emperor don't like it. Oh, yeah, the Führer and the Emperor, both of the foreign countries. And Bernito don't like it. So we're shipping you off to Europe and the Nazi submarine. Oh, they did actually say Nazi. I must have skipped that part. Because usually they were just saying Adolf. They didn't say Nazi. So the Raven's still overlooking, and then one of the goons catches him. So he grabs him by the tie and tosses him into the water. This is a flying fish, and you're the fish. That, I appreciate one-liners, and that one just didn't work. So he gets tossed off the boat, and the other guy, I guess he's going to go look. Oh, he sees that he's overboard, and he gets ready to try to fish him out. And the Raven throws him off, too. The Oriental guys, you will please release him. Very well, drops him into the water. So he gets into a little fight with this guy. He's called Yokohama. Wow, okay. So he socks him in the jaw, gets him really good, and then he comes into the boat. Pardon me, Miss Widow, but I want to borrow your rope and tie up the son of the rising sun. Ah, okay. That's a good one. Okay, so she says, you timed it right. That looks like the pig boat's coming to the surface now. So they get to the area where they were meeting. Oh, a U-boat called U-7. Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So they get up really close, imitating Yokohama's voice. I want to know how you imitated his voice. So sorry, Commander. This agent's not very good seaman. Wow, that was offensive. Okay, so they get real close and say, what is this, a masquerade? And then he pulls out the captain of the boat. And after he pulls the captain of the boat, she dumps the spiders down into the sub. Hey, this is why she doesn't use spiders anymore. She left them all on the sub. You see, I didn't get that. Now, I can go with the fact that she left the spiders on the sub, and that's why she didn't have them anymore. But there was no reason why she couldn't get more. I like this line. Bedlam breaks loose in the control room as the spiders take over the controls. Yikes, I'm going to hide in the torpedo tube. So, they close the hatch. Let's see, the Spider Widow jams open the hatch with the steering bar. Oh, she left the hatch open because they're signaling a destroyer ship. So the destroyer comes over and takes everybody into custody. It didn't say she took her spiders back. And after they take everybody into custody, the Raven and the Widow start going back on the very boat that brought them out there. I guess I owe you a lot. What for? I'd be on my way to see Adolf if you hadn't come along. Like right there where they mentioned Adolf. Well, let's see. It's dark, and she goes, well, darn it, take off your mask, and I'll take off mine. And she kisses him. Wow. Yeah, he obviously doesn't see her because of what he says right here. Come here, whirl of the ship wheel. Well, later that night, after both the Spider Widow and the Raven returned to their natural selves, it was so doggone dark, I wonder what he looks like. It would be dark. I wonder what she looks like. We wonder too, who is the Raven? More of Spider Widow in October's issue of Feature Comics. Alright, I hope you're enjoying the quality characters I've gone over so far. I'm going to go ahead and cover a couple of more before we get into June. And in June, I like to do timely comic book characters. So if there's anybody you want to see in timely that I haven't covered yet, because there still are a fair number of ones that I can still go over, you can go ahead and drop me a line. Because when you send a request, I might end up getting to your hero that you want to see one day. But if you send me your request, we get to it right away. So if you have any timely comic characters in mind or quality characters that I can round out the month with, just let me know. And until next time, I'll be seeing you.